Paul Ricard is the venue for the second Endurance Cup round within the Fanatec GT World Challenge Europe powered by AWS. The sun is shining, but for the teams there is no chance of enjoying the scenery because this is a gruelling day with qualifying and a 6-hour race all crammed into the same 24-hour period. It's tough for the drivers, it's tough for the teams, and it's tough for the equipment as well. It's a real test for everybody involved, but the perfect warm-up for the total 24 hours of Spa. The Endurance Cup began at Monza. It was a dry road to begin with, but it wasn't a dry race for the 3 hours. With over 46 cars on track, it was a mad scramble down towards the Rettifilo chicane for the first time, and surprisingly, we made it through with minimal drama. As the field battled through for the first time, we lost Ben Barnicoat's McLaren off wide into the gravel. That was the first casualty with suspension damage. In traffic was the GPX Racing Porsche of Mathieu Jaminet, Matt Campbell and Earl Bamber, eager to make progress, frustrated though with a crowded house ahead. As the cars dived their way out of the Rogier chicane, yet more drama. Adrien Tombe's Santaloc Audi turned around and that too would be out of the race early on. The number 4 Haupt Racing Team Mercedes of Miro Engel, Luca Stolz and Vincent Abril was trying to gain places as off the road went the Phil Keen Hiroshi Hamaguchi Lamborghini. That was all because the rain was falling. Mercedes number 4 was up the escape road, and now the teams have the dilemma: stop early and go onto wets, or try to brave it out to the first routine stops on the hour mark. Number 88 Mercedes, the Marciello aka ASP entry was in strife, and as the road dried, so some of the teams had a spate of punctures. WRT, then the Dynamic Motorsport Porsche, then Emile Frey Racing's Lamborghini. Alex Fontana dragged the car to the pit lane, but it was high drama as the order was shuffled around. The road was starting to dry. Again, the teams were trying to work out whether they needed to pit and go back onto slicks or whether they could get to the next round of pit stops and lose less time. Some didn't have the luxury. Having got the race lead, the number 4 Mercedes suddenly had a puncture, and that was another car to limp to the pit lane. Emile Frey Racing had a second car with a punctured tyre, and Garage 59 Aston Martin was given a hip and shoulder at the Parabolica, which turned around the Silver Cup entry. There was some great battling though going on in the traffic as 3 wide the cars ran over the timing line down towards the Rettifilo chicane. The road was still damp and greasy. Dynamic Motorsport, winners at Monza 2 years ago, looking good for a second victory. Matteo Cairoli, Klaus Bachler, Christian Engelhardt, the drivers, as again the teams went to work, refuelling and changing tyres. Looking good in the Silver Cup though, off the road had slithered the Gulf livery WRT Audi. More drama, Jens Liebhauser's BMW with a puncture and a long limp back to the pit lane. Up front, the Dynamic Motorsport Porsche was looking good for race honours. 1 or 2 others had to skip the escape road down at the Rettifilo chicane. Off the road at the Rogier chicane, despite charging hard, the Giacomo Altuve, Norbert Siedler, Albert Costa Lamborghini from the Emile Frey Racing Team. And as the clock ticked on down to the end of the 3 hours of racing, number 4 Mercedes finding itself in strife. The Stolz, Engel, Abril entry had a checkered day, but at least was battling on to the finish. Then off the road, the Iron Lynx Ferrari. It had looked good in the early stages. As to the checkered flag and race victory came Klaus Bachler, Christian Engelhardt and Matteo Cairoli, with Raffaele Marciello, Jules Gounon and Daniel Junquedaire taking second place ahead of Alex Fontana, Rolf Ineichen and Riccardo Feller for Emile Frey Racing in the Lamborghini. So let's reset and get ready for Paul Ricard. 6 hours of racing. It will start in daylight and go to darkness. And one of the drivers to watch, undoubtedly, for the Haupt Racing Team this weekend is going to be Vincent Abril.
We're very confident and very happy to be here. It's a track that we all appreciate, and it's the closest from home, so obviously it's always a bit special. We usually have some friends and family coming, but unfortunately now it's not possible. But we have a strong car, like you said. We're strong in Monza. Unfortunately, if it wasn't for a puncture, I think we would have been on the podium, if not more. So this series is so competitive that any mistake is just not forgiving.
You can never discount Porsche. Although GPX Racing didn't have a great time at Monza, Mathieu Jaminet is confident for Paul Ricard.
I find it really funny, and I really like to race in the night. This is my favorite conditions, and I think this is, as you said, a really good preparation before Spa 24. So I'm pretty sure we're going to have an exciting weekend, an exciting race, and it will be great to watch and great to fight out there. But last year we showed that we were up there, fighting for the win until the last minutes with the Ferrari. We have definitely high expectations, but it's a new year, so let's see how it goes.
Adrien Tambay had a pretty tough time at Monza. He was an early casualty that damaged and delayed the car, so we never really saw the best out of the former DTM and Formula 3 racer. Never discount Santalot though in the longer races. They get on with the job, and normally it's a team that comes good in the final stint of the race.
Yeah, it's a very complete track, quite a few quick corners, but also a very technical part on the first sector. It's actually quite technical in some places, and you need also to have some, let's say, be brave in some other place. The fact that it's going to be racing at night makes it even more exciting, so I'm really looking forward to that.
SRO Motorsports runs the BMW M6s, and it's a team that excels in the longer races. 6 hours around here should be no problem. 35 is crewed by Timo Glock, Martin Tomczyk and Thomas Neubauer. This is another potential winner.
Yeah, I mean, the Volcanos team is such a great team. They have quite a lot of experience with BMW, and especially this car behind me. And yeah, they have been super kind and super nice to me. And so now we're just working together and keep head down to have a good season.
The new iron-linked Ferrari team impressed at Monza. It was a quick car, it was a reliable car, and run by AF Corsa, undoubtedly the pit stops were well drilled. And one of the standout drivers of the race was the young Italian former single-seater hot shoe, Antonio Fuoco.
It's our first season together with our teammates, so we are discovering all the things between us, and I think we are doing a good job. Especially Callum is rookie on this championship, and in Monza it was really fast. So I think we have good car, good team, and we can do a good job.
Another of the potential winners for Mercedes is this 88 ACA ASP entry. Raffaele Marciello, Daniel Juncadella and Jules Gounon, the three drivers. Gounon very versatile. He's back behind the wheel of the Mercedes. Looking good here at Paul Ricard.
We are feeling good. Monza was a high for us. They started very well the season with Raffaele and Danny. And yeah, we had a strong quali, and then in the race was a very difficult weather condition. Paul Ricard is always a nice event, you know, it's the start of the summer. You see the sun is shining, the weather is nice, so hopefully we're gonna have a good race, score some big points and prepare well before the big one in Spa.
For the first time in the championship's history, we have an all-girl crew. Amongst the Ferrari drivers here, Catherine Legg.
I've been driving the GT3 car in the States for many, many years. Not the Ferrari, this will be the first day that I drive the Ferrari GT3, but I'm used to GT3 racing. My first time at an SRO event. Yeah, it's going to be very different to the night races that I've done in places like Daytona and Sebring, and it's going to be pitch black, I hear. So it'll be fun and interesting.
Further variety on the grid comes from Bentley. This car run by CMR, and amongst the drivers is the hugely experienced Gilles Vannelet, who over the years in all manner of categories has done many a lap around Paul Ricard.
Very hard for me because I know the car only in Monza track, 1 month and a half, and many times the car is right seat, and I drive only left seat, so I need more laps to be in a good situation. The car is very nice. She looks very strong and big, but the weight is very nice, and aerodynamic is important.
We always talk about what's going on overall, but the classes, such as Silver Cup and Pro-Am, just as fiercely contested. And Johnny Adam for Aston Martin looking for Pro-Am honours this weekend.
Yeah, the start of the season's gone so well, you know, to win in Monza is a special feeling, and yeah, to lead the championship going into this weekend, and it's a circuit, Paul Ricard's normally very good for the car, for the Aston Martin, but also very good for the team, you know, the guys actually won their class last year, the championship here in November, so yeah, we've got high hopes for this weekend, so hopefully we could score some good points.
Remember too that the Fanatec GT World Challenge Europe, powered by AWS, is part of our global competition, where the brands go head-to-head both in Europe and of course North America. When the Asian series begins, they'll be scoring points over there as well. It's been an intense competition thus far, plenty of racing in America added to what we've had in Europe thus far. And amongst the brands, who then has been scoring big and scoring best in the previous races? So this is how we stand going into 6 hours of racing at Paul Ricard. Porsche and Audi have scored well, so too Lamborghini, but sitting atop the championship standings is Mercedes-AMG. So we're almost good to go. Cars making their way up onto the grid. The sun is shining, there's a bit of a breeze, and this long evening for the teams is about to get underway. It is one of those races that is always a highlight of the season because it has so much. It's a great circuit, it's a fast circuit, it's got some twisty and technical bits, but then you've got the way that day evolves into night, the way that you go from the daylight to the dusk to the darkness, and of course we finish at midnight. It's pitch black. The headlights become a real factor as you're trying to pick out market points around the circuit, trying to work out whether that set of headlights in your mirrors or in your rear view camera, as it now is in many cases, is a car that you're on the same lap as, whether it's a proper battle. It becomes a real test of the teams to give the drivers the right information. This is the grid then, with Mirko Bortolotti starting on pole position, Davide Rigon alongside him, Vincent Abril and Jules Gounon will start on row 2 ahead of them, David Pittard and alongside Giacomo Altaway. 7th is Jack Aitken, and 8th on the grid is Klaus Bachler. That is Lamborghini and Porsche ahead of Valentin Asclot, and it's Earl Bamber to round out the top 10 on the grid. 11th is where Koen Ledegaard will start. And then 12th, Marcus Winkelhock, hugely experienced, of course he is. 13th, Martin Tomczyk. 14th on the grid, Charles Wirtz, ahead of Christopher Haase. And then the impressive this morning, Konstantin Terashenko, lining up on the outside of the 8th row of the grid. On the 9th row, you've got Rolf Ineiken, and alongside him is the Dutch driver Rick Brokers. Rob Bell comes next, and alongside him, Talksport Paul Petit, ahead of Russell Ward and Romain Dumas. Next, Christian Kleen and Chris Goodwin to line up alongside the ex-Grand Prix racer winner here in 2018. Then it's Stuart Hall and Frank Bird, with Alex Arca and Hubert Haupt starting 28th on the grid. 29th is where you'll find Tim Zimmerman, and starting 30th is Benji Highties in the Rinaldi Racing Ferrari. Kim Louis Schramm will start on the 16th row. Chris Froggatt is the man alongside him. Then you get to Louis Machiels and Jordan Love next on the grid, ahead of Leo Machitsky. In for the injured Adrian Amstutz, and Gilles Vanelay lines up next. Then it's Sam de Haan and Valentin Pierberg alongside him. On the next row, you've got Duncan Cameron, welcome back to the championship. Hiroshi Hamaguchi lines up alongside, ahead of Florian Scholze and Brandon Iribe. Then Giorgio Roda and Jan Kasperlik. On the 22nd row, row 23 is Carrie Moget and Sarah Bovey in the all-girl car with Dorian Pound and Catherine Legg for company, and then it is going to be Simon Reicher who rounds out the grid then. So that is how they line up, ready to go. It's a quality entry, it's a huge entry, and so much can happen in GT endurance racing. Never mind over 6 hours, never mind with the darkness to be factored in as well. Out of the Virage du Pont they will come. Pole position, number 63 Lamborghini. It's Mirko Bortolotti behind the wheel of it. He needs to get away, and it's those on rows 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and back, in with all of the traffic around them, who are in jeopardy for the first few corners. We get set, we're going to go racing. We're just before 6 o'clock local time. The lights go green, we go racing. Who's going to make the best start? Will it be Bortolotti? Yes, yes, yes! The Lamborghini storms clear into the race lead, and look at Vincent Abril in the pink Mercedes up the inside line. He's going to go second, is he? Under attack is Davide Reed, gone round the outside line, tries to go 88 Mercedes as well. You're on board with another 54 dynamic Porsche as they turn through for the first time. So far, so good. 1 or 2 run wide and off the racetrack, John, but we've got through so far without damage.
Very well done by the bulk of the field. A couple of cars took the shortcut coming through the first of the S's, was just saying likewise down at that first of the chicane, the La Verrière. Now at the bottom end of the second round, Virage du Camp. Pretty good effort by everybody, but certainly one thing was clear, that the pace that the Lamborghini's got was enough to beat the Mercedes and the Ferrari into that opening turn.
1 or 2 that are a little bit delayed, looking at when their sector time to come out, and there is drama. It was going to happen. Number 10 BMW has been turned around. Poor old Carimoge is in the wars, and who is that that's got involved with him? It's Giorgio Roda, I think, in the Ferrari, and also there's a delayed Brendan Arib who's not yet got into the end of the first sector. He's got there now, so 1 or 2 badly delayed on the first lap. Carimoge gets going as they pound at the Mistral for the first time.
I mean, absolutely traffic jam. Where do you go? You can barely find an entry into scene. Then the quick run down and caught up into Dumuse. What is going on? We thought it would kick off in turn 1, but it's kicked off 3/4 way around the lap.
That was the Mad Panda Merc, wasn't it, of Rick Brokers that got turned around at exactly the same place as the team owner, Ezequiel Perez Compact, had his big accident a few years back when he was in the Audi, but Brokers got away with that. It won't have done the Pirellis much good. They'll all be relieved to get to the end of the first lap. Then it might just calm down a bit, but it's Bortolotti in the lead, and at the end of 5.7 kilometres, the first lap of the race, another effort made there. Look, on the inside, 88, the Mercedes from the ACA team with Jules Gounon at the wheel. Sticks the nose up the inside of 34 BMW, David Pittard, who says, oh no you don't, and David Pittard fends him off as they cross the line.
Yeah, well, I mean, it looked like the Mercedes was going to make a move up the inside down into the opening turn, but David Pittard had the grunt and traction off the final corner and then was able to consolidate. Comes out of that first S-bend, and really it's Gugnon's got to be careful watching, because he's followed by Klaus Bachler in the first of the Porsche.
Now, the incident between Roda and Ogier has been noted by race control, so that will get passed along the line. Have a look at that, Stuart, see if there's anything that needs to be done, see if it was an incident with nobody to blame, or if anybody did trigger it. So that is being looked at as you ride on board now with number 54. This is the Dynamic Motorsport Porsche. It's Klaus Bachler at the wheel of it, and at the end of the first lap, that car was in 6th place, and he's way wide there.
Yes, and he may be careful, because running wide, he may have gained a little bit of an advantage, being pursued by Earl Bamber in the second of the Porsches. Earl Bamber really trying to line up Klaus Bachler. Bachler hugging the right-hand side of the racetrack, forcing Bamber to go to the left the long way round, and Bachler will drift over to the middle of the racetrack to make it even more difficult for Earl Bamber to find a way around. Wisely backs out of it, thinks about, well, maybe can I make a move down the inside, as look at Gounon doing the same thing on the BMW.
It's all action, isn't it? The two Porsches getting themselves together. This is Gounon on the inside of Pittard. Is the job done? Yep, through he goes. Gets the inside line. David Pittard runs wide. But look, the Valkenhorst BMW is going to fight back.
Well, Pittard did the right thing, because Gounon had launched down the inside. He could have shut the door, but inevitably that would have been contact. So he opened the door again, let the Mercedes go through. He's directly behind Gounon, coming down to the conclusion of what is now lap 2.
So Bortolotti it is, fastest lap of the race thus far, after just one flying lap, but a second and a half to the good. So we had a prancing horse and a raging bull on the front row, and it's the bull ahead of the horse at the moment. Lamborghini ahead of Ferrari, and yet more of them go out wide, but they all get back on just where those markers taper, or do they? Rob Bell, the wrong side of them in the McLaren.
Yeah, but Bachler lost that position to Earl Bamber. He went so far wide on the exit of scene that it opened the door for Bamber to drive up the inside. There you see now that the swapping of the Porsche, but it's, I mean, Klaus Bachler has now got Jacopo Altway all over the rear of the Porsche. So I did suggest that maybe Bachler was a bit of a cork in a bottle on that second lap. He lost one position, and he could be in danger of losing another one to the Lamborghini. There's Earl Bamber comfortably now up into that 6th position.
Incident involving car 10 and 11 at the starting turn 5 under investigation.
There, look, to the inside line goes 25. That is the Christopher Hauser Audi, and he squeezes up on the inside of Konstantin Tereshchenko's Mercedes. Tomczyk, I was going to say, will give the places back, but he needs them to catch up first. I think that's now all cycling through. As there you see 87. That's Tereshchenko, and behind him now is Rob Bell in the McLaren, the Jota Ram McLaren. Now let's have another look at the start here. You see Mirko Bortolotti charge away from that pole position, and the run all the way down towards turn 1. You see who the brave drivers are as well on the brakes. They get into that first left-hander. It's pretty much our perspective of it. The cars hammer down across the line towards turn 1, and Mirko Bortolotti edging away. Vincent Abril, good start. That was brave stuff on the inside.
Yes, it was, but I was having to break that a little bit earlier because of a much tighter entry into the corner. That allowed Davide Rigo to swing around the outside, and the 88 Mercedes almost managed to make the pass as well. So a few cars were cutting the inside and the exit of the chicane, or the S's, I should say, not chicane, this is an S's. There you go, there is the first of those cars. And if you make up a position in doing that, then you have to concede it back again. So while you might think, oh, didn't I get away with that? Well, no, you didn't. On board with Klaus Bachler running down on the opening lap. You can see just where the Mercedes is, and had to break that a little bit earlier and allowed the Ferrari swing round the outside on board with Bachler. And look, well, he's well, where did the Lamborghini pop from? Did it pop up the inside of the racetrack or not? Couldn't quite see it from that angle. And Bachler went up the inside of the corner anyway.
Yeah, all over the curb there. One or two teams reporting others for doing some corner cutting at the start. So you've got the teams monitoring others.
Those drivers didn't go to public schools. You don't sneak on your mates, do you?
All's fair in love and GT racing. Leo Machitsky is under attack from Rick Brokers, recovering after his spin in the Mad Panda Mercedes. But the number 7 Mercedes we expect to see into the pit lane then. Paul Petit at the wheel of the car. Machitsky through, Brokers through. Jordan Love is on the back of them in the next of the Mercedes there, number 40. But Rick Brokers, after that spin on the opening lap, recovering now and getting on with the job, calming his stint down and trying to chip back to get the places that he'd lost once more.
I'm a bit surprised. In previous races here, we've had bunches of cars. I mean, the field has opened up, spread out really quickly compared to other seasons. But look at this, getting a bit tidy and testy down at the far end of the circuit. Mad Panda all over the back, but in doing so has opened up an opportunity. Oh, well, that's an opportunity lost. Well, almost into the barrier on the outside, coming on to the Mistral Straight. And then, of course, the Ferrari running behind now, looking like it might be able to make a move. Had to pull back in, and that was the Audi, I should say, not the Ferrari. It was the red that threw me, but gets the slipstream, gets up alongside, but on the outside as he comes up into scene, 4 cars into scene, running side by side is always going to be interesting, as that turned out to be.
And Brokers gains a place, and so does Alex Arca, but they were way off the road, and they're still off the road. Arca's gone way wide, and look back up on the inside, tries to get the Lamborghini, and around it goes. Machitsky gets hit by Jordan Love as he was sideways, and that is bad news for Barwell. Contact and damage.
I think Machitsky was losing it at that particular point. A lot of damage to the nose bodywork, so he's going to make a very quick pit stop.
He's got damaged suspension. Look, it's all crabby, and that's not good. That could be the end for that. Just confirmation from Gemma in the pits. It was a puncture for Paul Petit, number 7. Back out again as we had seen, and still potentially with bodywork rubbing against the tyre. So that's why the car's lost a lap, and he's 44th now. There is your leader. Now, it was 2 seconds at the start of the lap over there. Rigon second. Now look, he's really under attack. Avril is with him in third. It's Jules Gounon 4th. And those gaps, we're talking 8 tenths between second and third and 3rd and 4th. So nothing really to choose early stages in the race.
Still, I mean, the advantage fractionally is towards Mirko Bortolotti. Whatever that 3-second time loss, we've never been able to discover what it was. But he's beginning to ease marginally lap upon lap. Real battle, I think, that's going to be very exciting is between the 2 Emile Frey Racing Lamborghinis and 9th and 10th and Jack Aiken all over except around the car of Giacomo Altoe.
So there wide is the Santa Lock Audi. Not the only one to do it. And you see there at the bottom of the timing tower those that are in strife, because Jordan Love is still in the pit lane, so too is Frank Bird, so too is Leo Machitsky, and we know that already out of the race is Benji Haiti. So it's been a troublesome start for a few of the teams. Big disappointment for Barwell in the Pro-Am battle with 77. Now, we've had Frank Bird in the wars a bit. He was involved in the Benji Highties incident, then he had his own later on. Let's hear from Frank with Gemma.
Frank, obviously the team is still frantically working on the car. What is the damage?
At the moment, we've got a bent track rod on the front and also the rear. I got hit on the first lap, and then before I retired, someone spun at turn 11 and he was just rolling backwards, and I clipped the back of him, so I had nowhere to go. So, unfortunate, we made a good start, but unfortunate what happened. So the team are trying to get back out, so we'll see what happens.
Right, so the team working on the 31 Audi. Oh, hang on, let's have another look at this. Let's just see where the brush comes. Right, the Audi's at the back of the pack, and as he goes wide, yes, he does get collected, doesn't he, by the Lamborghini. The answer, John, to your Martin Tomczyk question is that the Valkenhorst squad have been invited up to race control to have a look at the evidence that race control has got, and that is Abril, who's gone straight on down at turn 2. Wow.
Well, he's going to have to give that all back. He can't claim that position. Being that far off racetrack is something he's going to have to accept. He's backed off. You can see he's backed off. So the 88, and again he cuts on the inside. Look, is there a problem?
He must have a problem.
Well, maybe he just decided that's the safest way for me to give up my position.
Well, he was ahead of Gunon anyway, so he didn't have to give that one back to the Mercedes. But either way, mysterious that he was so quick, so far off the circuit, and then again coming onto the Mistral. He must have a problem. Look, you can see he's losing places, and there's a bit of smoke, isn't there?
Yeah, there's smoke coming off the car now. Whether that's a tyre deflating a left front, it is. I think the left front has gone down. You can see he's pulled off the main straight onto the sort of what you like call it the safety lane, and that looks to me like the left front tyre is struggling really to keep the car in a straight line as bits of rubber are being kicked up. Now that's rubber by the side of the racetrack. Now turning into scene, you can see that the rubber is well, it's just falling apart. So what a disaster. Look at the tyre. He's just over 2/3 of the way around the lap. Needs to be careful not to come back too quickly, because as that tyre begins to disintegrate, it can take bodywork and everything else around that front suspension, and you do not want to do damage to the front suspension at the same time as all the other potential bodywork damage.
That car had a puncture at Monza, don't forget, and an early puncture here, and it's going to throw the strategy out of the window because we're still 20 minutes away really from the end of the first round of stops.
Remember, there was a fair bit of bodywork, carbon fibre, down at Le Bousset when that contact took place a few laps later. Now, maybe just a misfortune that's a bit of carbon fibre that's cut down the tyre. Whatever it is, it's massive setback for that. The number 4 Mercedes, HRT Mercedes.
I mean, there's the time lost with the drama, the time lost limping home, time lost with the damage, plus the pit stop. It is, well, you just can't afford to do it. You cannot afford to go off the lead lap in these races, and that's what's going to happen to that car. And other teams now will be absolutely determined to find out as quickly as possible why that happened. And there is Abril coming back into the race, and he's got to try and stay ahead of that Lamborghini to keep on the lead lap, and he ain't going to do it.
No, but he wants to get in between the Ferrari and second place, and that's going to be a tight squeeze. But there is, well, I think Davide Rigo has managed to just and the right Manson have done the right thing. Instead of being awkward about it and causing an issue with the car, he's now a lap down on.
He's joined in exactly where he was, third on the road, a lap down. So he's joined in ahead of Gunon, behind Rigo, but a lap down. But where he is in the group, in the line of cars, is exactly where he was before the puncture. So there is 93 Ferrari, the Frogachiever Hui car, 23rd, still leading in Pro-Am, and this is on board with Chris Froggatt right now.
All looks so... You think you're actually... Is this a sim race or is this for real? It all looks so in control. Having to take a second bite of the cherry as he came through the first of those S's down at the far end of the racetrack. Whoa! Chris, a little bit too much of the right foot maybe, was that Chris?
Survives it, hangs on to the moment. And this is Jules Gunon. Now this is interesting.
Drive-through penalty to car 11, causing a collision. Drive-through penalty car 11, causing a collision.
And that is for the second time it's caused a collision. Right, 88 in early. This is interesting. So 88 comes in from, third place at the end of lap 26. And that, I suspect, is to get out of the scrum when everybody comes in on the hour mark. That could be a shrewd move by Aka.
Yes, and that's why you've got to play your cards close to your chest. Don't give any indication. There will be people in the pit lane going, wow, what are they in so early for? Oh, and that'll throw. Because do they know something we don't know? Have they got something they're maybe masking? They want to cover it up in a pit? I don't know, but a courageous move to come in this early. Well, we're still 8 minutes away from the top of the hour.
Yeah, but I think, as I say, they've done this to get out of that mad scramble. They'll be slightly different on the strategy now, just to give themselves breathing space in the pit lane. Number 2 is in as well, Florian Scholzer. But 88 is the significant one, and we'll see where that's going to drop it to. I think Jules Gounon stayed behind the wheel as well, didn't he? I
would have thought so. I don't know why they want to change what would have been their normal strategy of running each driver a double stint. So Jules Gounon will be back out on track, fresh rubber, fuel on board as we go back to the exit of the S's, what they call as the S de la Verrière.
And look at that, Rick Broker's up the inside of Chris Frogger, gets the job done for 21st place.
Yes, good, clean overtake. Room given by Frogger to the Mercedes. You can see on board with the Ferraris at speed picks up.
Interesting, Emile Frey brings both cars in. Look, they're nose to tail down the pit lane.
I mean, double stacking your cars. I don't know why teams do it, but obviously the team have made the call, so both drivers are in. So Altway and Jack Aiken, and Aiken literally almost shoving the rear of his sister car. Now they come to a stop. The team is going to work. It's the Jack Aiken car. Certainly Altway is out of his car, but Jack Aiken is staying in. So the 163 is going to be taken over by either Norbert Siedler, probably will be Norbert Siedler, and I suspect that Jack Aiken is going to do that double stint. So both Emile Frey teams flat out to try and see if they can get out. There is the battle going on. Finally, Frogger has found a way around the Mercedes, and he's on the inside coming up into the S's, and that is a pass he's taken. Just simply, he gained the ground. Position. Let's look and see. It took quite a long time, frustrated by the number 2 Mercedes, Florian Schultz. I mean, goodness me, what was going on in the mind of Chris Frogger?
So this is a second drama with Oliver Grutz, and he has to get his elbows out and say, look, I'm coming past, get the message. So Bortolotti in, Tomczyk in, Asclo in, and they did effectively 32 laps because they're the wrong side of the timing line.
So race lead now goes to Davide Rigo in the 71 Ferrari, with David Pittard in the BMW second, Earl Bamber third, Klaus Bachler fourth, and of course that double stacking Lamborghini pit stop has now got Marcus Winkelhock able to run at his own pace, which is very important, but of course he's going to have to come in within the next few moments.
So looking to see 63, they have done a driver change.
Yeah.
Marco Mappelli takes it over.
Interesting that they've chosen to go change on the hour, and I wonder whether that's because, well, I don't know why. I can't think of a reason, but hopefully we'll soon find out from Mirko Bortolotti. Give us the story, Mirko, as his race leader comes in.
And also David Pittard is in, Earl Bamber is in, Klaus Bachler is in, Marcus Winkelhock is in, Kobe Ledegar is in, and Charles Wirtz in, all at the end of 33 laps. And we understand that Louis Machiel's Ferrari had contact. It's a damaged radiator, and the race is over for the car. So it was contact with 77, the Leo Micitsky Lamborghini. Well, if that's the case, that must have been a problem developing, because that was many laps ago that Micitsky was last on the track. But either way, 52, we understand from Gemma in the pit lane, is out with a damaged radiator. Valkenhorst BMW towards us. Whole queue of cars coming out. David Pittard stays behind the wheel. There is the Ferrari. Davide Rigon stays behind the wheel, but loses out there.
Yes, indeed, and that'll be sore for the Ferrari team to Links to lose at that position during a pit stop, and having enjoyed momentarily the lead of the race in his pursuit of Mirko Bortolotti, who was just driving into the distance. Now he's going to come out behind the BMW. We know the BMW has got really good straight line speed, amongst, if not the quickest. In fact, it was that BMW that was the quickest overall down the Mistral straight. So for Davide Rigo, well, it's still a long way to go. Just under the 5 hours of this race remaining.
So end of the lap, let us check what the order is as they come over the timing line. So at the end of lap 34, Mapelli does lead the way, so that car maintains the advantage, and I would offer you has gained a huge amount of time. But second, look, is David Pittard in the BMW. Third, Davide Rigon. Fourth, right up behind him is Martin Tomczyk. Earl Bamber is fifth, and it's Jules Gounon in sixth place, but it's an 8-second advantage now Mapelli has over Pittard.
BMW closing down on the Ferrari, coming down the straight. He's going to get a run at him. He's going to have to go. He's trying to force his way up the inside, coming. Wow, look at the Ferrari. But there's this battle here directly behind. So the BMW's gotten ahead. Ferrari had to concede coming into scene.
Interesting, isn't it? So both the BMWs looking really strong. Second and third now, Pittard and Tomczyk. There's Mapelli in the lead, hustling on, trying to build that gap over David Pittard, who is still doing a great job, even though 9 seconds is now the margin. Tomczyk is there behind in third, tries to sort out Duncan Cameron. Now this is how Tomczyk got by.
So Ferrari is going, is forced to stay on the left, because there you see the BMW. I mean, what Davide Rigon did, he doesn't want to give up that position, but he thought wiser of it.
Right, you're on board with Engelhardt. Now this is the move.
Great move. Got the run started at the beginning of the straight, used the slipstream. Finlay Hutchinson totally powerless to do anything to prevent Christian Engelhardt from taking that place. What can you do? He hovered over the right-hand side of the racetrack to make it slightly more difficult, but Engelhardt had the grunt when it mattered. The Porsche blows by the Audi, and Engelhardt will be pleased to clear. That's a car, that 26 Audi was a competitive car, one that under normal circumstances would not be so easy to clear. Come Ledegar doing a good job, as you pointed out, David.
And there 114, Jack Aitken then battles on. He has got the Porsche having worked through that little pack, and at the rear of it, Norbert Siedler. So Christian Engelhardt here then, as down the inside goes Jack Aitken, and he now forces away up past Finlay Hutchinson.
Yes, I think in fairness that we're seeing that Jack Aitken is able to deal with the driver change in the 26 Audi more comfortably. I mean, he was being forced. Jack Aitken was under pressure from Markus Winkelhock. So clearly the Santalok Audi got out ahead of the Emil Frey. That double stacking is never an easy way to turn your cars around. So they want the 114 Lamborghini now out ahead of the 26, which is where they were prior to that pit stop. Now, what's going on here? Ferrari, whereabouts has that gone off? Oh, rear tire again. Looks like, is that a right rear this time? That's caused, let's look and see what's happening. Here we go. Wow!
Wow.
What caused that? I mean, that, you can't get any further off racetrack. And he did slam the barrier.
You've got to go some to find the barrier there. That's Duncan Cameron. Now the number 2 Mercedes, which is now Oliver Grott's 32nd, is the next car that David Pittard has got to get past, and he's easily through, unlike poor old Chris Froggatt that took an age to get by. Then the car is now through, and Pittard tries to get away from Tomczyk as they come up towards Saint-Baume. So as we work lap 43, there Tomczyk gets a bit of a squeeze. That Mercedes is a pesky thing, isn't it?
Moving around quite a lot, but if Tomczyk's got to be a little bit more patient. He'll get a draft. He's got a straight line advantage over the Mercedes. You can see he's coming. He's going to go down the right-hand side down the straight, so he's got track position now coming up into scene corner.
Car 93. Drive-through penalty for car 93.
And that
cutting is turn 1, turn 2 at the start, gaining positions.
Okay, so that's the Froggatt Qui Chiva Ferrari, the Sky Tempesta entry. 93 gets a drive-through. Well, that's been well researched, hasn't it? Because the very first lap of the race was about an hour and 20 minutes ago, but they've looked at it, and there is the car, and a penalty comes.
Well, that's what we called when we saw the onboard. I just wondered, it didn't look to me like the Aston, which was cited as being a possible cause. It looked to me like he took force. Well, here we go on board. There's nobody really close to the Ferrari. Down the gears, on the brakes, turns in, but just sort of turns out of the, and goes up the inside, and no contact, no real force majeure involved, and that's the penalty, drive-through penalty.
Well, Christian Engelhardt knows exactly what to do in a Porsche, knows exactly how to win races, fight battles. Came out of the Carrera Cup, but Jack Aitken lunges up the inside, and that was a bold pass, but a really good one. And so Jack Aitken goes 7th. Winner 2 years ago at Silverstone of the Sunday morning Formula 2 race on Grand Prix Day, but now very much part of the GT family, and you can see why. Great racing, really good move that. And Lucas Stolz has just come back into the pit lane in number 4. So number 4 Mercedes out of sequence because of an earlier tyre drama. There it is. That's into the pit lane. As Tomczyk makes his move for second place up the inside, and he goes ahead.
Yeah, and I think that was a good move from Pittard. He sensed probably that, well, he's trying to come back. He's not trying to come back. That's, well, it's sort of that's the line that Tomczyk took, compromised him marginally on the exit. But in reality, Tomczyk has been the quicker of the 2 BMWs over the last number of laps, and now that he's gotten clear, I wonder how quickly he can pull away. And the gap between what is now Tomczyk in second place and race leader Marco Bappelli, just over 8.5 seconds.
Right, now there is David Pittard trying to get past Alexander West, who's, of course, hustling on, driving his own race, briefly on the line that David Pittard needed, but he clears the Aston now, with Davide Rigon being the next man to try to find a way by. Number 4 Mercedes delayed, of course, 29th now, Lucas Stolz, and he's dropped off that lead lap. And keep an eye to 88 Jules Gounon, 63 of his 65 minutes are up. He's got to be in this time, because looking at this, one more lap will tip him over.
I think, was that both BMWs coming in?
And there's Gounon, who I think is offline. In comes Jules Gounon. So this is the end of lap 59 for him. That brings him pretty much to where he should be in terms of the numbers of laps being done on the fuel.
So both BMWs stayed out on track, but it is the 6th place 88 Mercedes coming in. So they are again out of sync. But as you pointed out, David, it's not necessarily because they need to put more fuel or new tyres on, but unquestionably they will do so. So who will be taking over the 88? One would assume that they're going to keep that car. It'll be Danny Juncadella.
Will be.
Well spotted there, David. I worked it out, but you spotted it.
Because a very helpful Jules Gounon had already flicked the little transponder switch as he came down the pit lane for the next driver. So John was looking to work out the strategy, and there it was on the screen.
Beavering away with my entry list and working out that they're going to. You've got to keep Raffaele Marcello. If the drivers are doing double stints, you've got to. One would assume now maybe Juncadella might do a single stint, and then you put in Raffaele Marcello. It's still not a done deal that the 88 will do double stints for each of the 3 drivers. But look at this, right up Porsche, right up the back of the Aston Martin as they come. And can he get up? No, he's not going to be able to make it. And there's no room up the inside. It's a bit too late to try and move. So into scene they go, and out of scene they come.
So you're riding on board with Davide Rigon. He is 4th, 0.4 of a second back from David Pittard. As away goes Juncadella down the pit lane then. So of course he drops down as a result of that pit stop. 1 minute 28.977 the pit stop time. That is the pit in line to the pit exit line.
54.
That's Engelhardt. That was like a spin. Gets going again. And where was all that?
It's very weird.
Coming out of the first chicane, wasn't it?
I'm just trying to work out. Well, that's coming down in, yes.
Oh, straight on.
What is that on? What the heck went on there?
Is this another tyre drama like Abril had early on? Can't slow the car down. It's either tyres or brakes, clearly.
Well, it looked to me more like a brake issue than it was a tyre issue.
So this is the first incident, and there's a spin.
A suspension, maybe.
Was the Ferrari involved, and has that damaged the right rear suspension? Is that why the tracking might have been out?
There is the 35 BMW that was running in second place. So Tomczyk gets out, having done a pretty stellar stint behind the wheel. To go back to this battle, this is the battle for second place.
Jack Aitken in, and Colm Ledegar has just done a personal best lap. How many laps did Jack Aitken get out of the 114? He came in on lap 64, so that was a 33 lap stint. That was quite good.
So I would assume in that 114 Lamborghini we're going to see Lapalainen getting into it, because I would hold back Arthur Rougier if they're going to double stint all the drivers.
Yeah.
So there is the 35 BMW making its way down the pit lane. Jota McLaren coming in, Ollie Wilkinson behind the wheel of that.
And you're right, Neubauer it is, who is behind the wheel of it. So Thomas Neubauer takes over. And now everything feels a little bit different, doesn't it? Because there is still light, but the sunshine has gone, and Paul Ricard starts to feel a little different. And look at David Pittard all of a sudden. He's just done an absolute best in the middle sector, like he did at the end of his first stint. He's doing an excellent job as he gets towards the end of his second stint.
Strange sometimes where these times come from. Yeah. I mean, the set of tires he's on has done almost a full hour, in fact maybe just over an hour, and there he is banging in a sector time fastest of anybody.
Leader in. So Mapelli comes in at the end of lap 64, another 32 lap stint then from the leading car.
So there is the driver change taking place. So Marco Mapelli, excellent stint by the Italian driver Andrea, the team, effectively the team boss as well as lead driver, one might say. I'm not sure Marco Bortolotti would agree with, but certainly a really, really excellent group of drivers, a super team, and they worked to get this car to its competitive peak all through or most of last night, and they've found it and they've got the car where we saw them. So in the year 2019, this car was never off the podium. They won everything that was available to win. So Andrea Caldarelli behind the wheel, man who was impressive this morning in qualification, set the fastest time in Q3, and it was a pretty dominant qualifying from the entire 63 driver lineup. I think they were dominant in 2 of the 3 stints that we had. So the 71 Iron Lynx Ferrari rumbles down the pit lane, and we'll need a couple of laps for this all to wash through to see where everybody is. So there's the 35 BMW coming onto pit lane, and the Ferrari still, where is it in the pit lane? The BMW is coming. In fact, look, 34 has got out ahead of the 35.
So back
71 ahead of the 35 as well.
Yes, that, I don't think it was the quickest outlet from Neubauer. I think that's part of the problem, as much as the pit stop time. And there is 25 in Strife that's had a rotation.
Well, that must be Alexander Kuno.
It is indeed, yeah. And that's cost him a couple of places then, if not more. He's down into 22nd. How did he get there? Was there an assist?
I think there was. There was. WRT and Santa Lock.
Jaminet is giving Islet a tough time. Wittmann has got a bit stuck in traffic, but we could be on for a change for third place imminently, couldn't we? Because there, Mathieu Jaminet lines up to have a go on the inside of Callum Islet. Is he gone through? He has gone through. Elbows out, Islet runs off the road. Self-preservation, that, I think, to get out of the way and give him room. But is the Ferrari quick enough to fight back? Because Islet's got the inside line for the next corner. Jaminet absolutely dead set level with him. They almost brushed down to turn 1. Who's got the bigger whatnot? Who's going to brake later? Jaminet brakes late and he makes the corner. Great pass.
He had the ability to do that because he was on the racing line. Ilott had to get out of it slightly earlier because he would have been compromised on the exit, but he's coming back down into this as again. The Porsche has just got better track position. Look at the back of the car dancing around one side, then the other side. So the pass was made. It was a big high-risk pass down into the final turn. Ilott suddenly, if he needed to be fired up, this has fired him up. What can he do with a Porsche? Straight line performance, probably fractionally favourable towards the Porsche. Lap time probably more favourable to the Ferrari, but it's pretty much actually not a lot to pick and choose.
There's 63, that's Caldarelli, and he's heading up once more towards Virage Dupont, but there's a lot of traffic up the road this time.
Yes, but he's currently got just under 12 seconds advantage over the second place BMW.
We've got a slow Mercedes on track, I'm told. It's number 2. That's the bright yellow car that was in strife earlier on. Florian Scholzer is at the wheel of it. There it is.
Which corner has gone down? So he's wandering around in the middle of the racetrack, trying vainly to get out of the way, doing the correct thing, coming back slowly. It's the right rear, and look, there ain't a lot of rubber left in that. I just hope it hasn't whipped the rear suspension. I mean, no wonder he had struggling to keep the car on track. And I mean, I don't know what. Don't ask me to make a comment on all these Mercedes tyre. I'm trying to be generous to, to Pirelli and assume that it's all to do with shards and whatever on the racetrack. But it is unusual to see Mercedes-Benz in general having so many tyre issues. He's made it back into the pit lane.
And I'm afraid to say that Miguel Ramos is back into the pit lane with the Barwell Lamborghini, and there Jaminet through ahead of Wittmann. He's up into second place now, so the Porsche is getting more and more competitive, isn't it? More and more of a threat as the race wears on.
Absolutely, and it may be coinciding with the fact that we're going into the early evening light and track again, maybe coming more to the Porsche. Certainly the cooler air will always help a naturally aspirated engine, probably more than a turbocharged engine. Porsche, a flat 6 4-litre. And so Jaminet having an excellent stint. First getting around Callum Ilott, now running down the BMW, getting into second place as Ilott now faces what can he do with what is now the third place BMW of Marco Wittmann.
Well, Van der Linde is hustling on, and so too there, through on the inside of the traffic goes Lapalainen. The car they're trying to put the lap on is that of Brendan Aribe, and up towards the timing line they will come now with there, look, the Audi right on the tail. They come past the pits, so 32, Kelvin van der Linde, 9th, Konsta Lapalainen is 8th, the Lamborghini stays ahead. Paul Ricard over the years has not been the kindest of circuits to the Audi, and the age-old joke used to be that Audis never would go well here because they didn't want to get clobbered with a load of BOP adjustments for the Spa 24 hours. But right now, 32 is making good progress because the pace of the car looks good, and van der Linde certainly is being held up now.
Oh yeah, I mean, love to watch Kelvin van der Linde drive a race car because he does inject excitement into his driving style. So he probably has a race car which is not, I mean, the cynical view that's why Audi would say we don't have a really good performance at Paul Ricard because we want a really beneficial, what do you call it, balance of performance for Spa. I think some cars suit some circuits better than others, and it might just be that the Audi isn't quite as well suited as other brands in the field. But he's going to make a move. Can he do anything with the Lambo? It's going to be nip and tuck. He's got alongside, and he's done it. Well done, Kelvin.
Good move, that brave as well, going up towards senior. Lapalainen didn't roll over and play dead for him there, did he? He made him work for that, and Lapalainen, in his first season of racing at this level, doing a good job, I reckon. And so van der Linde goes up to 8th. And let's have a look here on board with Junkadea. Whoop, bit of hit the shoulder there. That was Neubauer, wasn't it, getting involved with the traffic?
Oh, here we go, round the outside. Where's the Audi popped up from?
Well, he's just been forced out wide by the BMW. Yes.
Oh, what a naughty shot.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's sweet as a nut. That's absolutely beautiful.
The Frankfurt Audi, by the way, has also now been declared a retirement from the race after its damage, so that's another one gone.
So here we go. Juncadella slides up alongside the number 2 and praying that he will be given the line into the corner, which I think he's probably earned on merit. So that's a fairly straightforward overtake by Juncadella.
Yeah, he's 6th.
Look at the rubber being kicked up.
6th Juncadella is. Remember, that was a car that was delayed within the first stint because of a tyre problem. 26 laps were done before that car came in with a deflated tyre. So that's why it's slightly further down the order. And that's your best Mercedes. Right, this is Cairoli's view. You're on board with the Porsche. It had a spin earlier on, and Cairoli is about to make his move against Konsta Lapalainen. Now to the inside, up towards Senior. There is the gap, and that should give Matteo Cairoli 9th. Job done.
Why did Lapalainen not stay on the inside on the way into scene? Cairoli, there's no way he could have gone around the outside. Now, he might have been marginally sort of wrong-footed coming down into Le Bousset, but nonetheless, that was by going to the left, he opened the door for Cairoli to drive straight through.
And there, elbows out, Max Hofer tries to get back up the inside of Clement Schmidt. This is for position, it is for 20th. They are both cars running in the Silver Cup, and Max Hofer, new into the team, aims to make a point, and he's gone back through. Brave stuff, bold stuff.
Yes, see, Clement Schmidt went very, very wide. Now he's trying to come back on the run down to these final two corners. Is he going to try and go around the long way? No, he decides he hasn't got the grip. The Audi looks here to have slightly better overall grip than Clement Schmidt in the Lamborghini, and now he's reclaimed that position.
Drive-through penalty to car 30, causing a collision with car 25.
Benji Goethe in the Gulf Audi. We saw that against Alexandre Cugno, didn't we? So drive-through penalty for Ben Goethe. That's confirmed by the race director, Alain Adam, who you can hear with the communication system. He's able to update us on penalties as the race goes on.
Oh, 88.
That's Junqueira in, and he's on lap 92. Then he's absolutely bang on target then. So that's another 33 laps done.
So it looks as if Junqueira has stayed on board. Certainly, we haven't seen that transponder change. So Raffaele Marcello is going to be the man that will do the final 2 hours.
So that car now should go to lap 125, all being well. And Jaminet is in early, relatively, because that car should have been able to go up to lap 99, and he's coming at the end of lap 96. Now, why is that a slightly earlier stop?
Because I think Jaminet had pushed really, really hard on that opening stint that he did, and maybe he just used fractionally more fuel than the team would have calculated for. Conversely, Andrea Caldarelli, you can do something called coast and run, just lift off maybe a second or half a second before the ultimate limit for the corner, and that also is a great way to save an extra fuel, an extra lap of fuel. So when you've got that comfortable lead and you're able to control it, if you can do that little bit of lifting off early, and sometimes you might even reduce your maximum RPM just by a 500 or so, assuming that the onboard computers allow you to do that.
I'm impressed with Caldarelli because he's going much, much further in this stint, but he's got to come in this time. He's done 63 minutes, and there he peels wide, should dart to the right. In comes Caldarelli, and that is going to be just about 64 minutes, I think, when he crosses the pit lane line.
That, I would say, was a very smart driving stint from Andrea Caldarelli, because he has managed to just go that little bit further on his fuel allocation, so it is a driver change. And one is assuming that it's going to be Mirko Bortolotti getting back in. And that's what you could do if you've got control of the lead of the race.
So, as I say, that has just been a 34-lap stint, which is really good indeed. And again, it's partly perhaps as the race goes on, the teams become a little bit happier with the data. They know what to expect from the car and can push it a bit more. Quite often a team will do a slightly shorter first stint by a lap or so, just to be on the safe side, just to get the data back.
Incident between
Mirko
car 2
Bortolotti
and car 30 under investigation.
So another incident to be investigated from race control.
Car 30's been in the wars, hasn't it? Squeezing past the Butcher Junior BMW and running on board in the Aston Martin. So Johnny Adam behind the wheel. Is it still, or did a driver change?
Should still be Johnny. Yep, still is
it
Johnny
is,
Adam.
yes. Second in class.
Remember that incident earlier that we had the spinning Engelhardt Porsche, and we wondered if 51 was involved in it because they were together on the circuit or close on the circuit. Well, it's being looked at. It's now under investigation. There's a bit more evidence that's come to light, apparently. And also, we've got another drama, number 2, which is the bright yellow Mercedes, Florian Scholz, and number 30, the WRT Audi which is the Goethe car, isn't it? Team managers
stopped,
of those have got to go to the race director, and that's a battered BMW. Is that number 10? It is. It's Jens Liebhauser. Now, is that his bodywork, or is that after the Machitsky accident?
That's after the Machitsky. It's been there for the last 3.5.
Okay.
Or whatever it is now, yeah, about 3.5 hours roughly.
Well, that car does not want to sit there, does it?
No, and this could be our first, was that contact, synchronized pirouetting the two Mercedes and the number 10 Butsuginio, and I think that's got our left rear tire. So they may need a recovery vehicle. There is the right front, actually looks like the most damage has been done. So that car surely is going to make it into the pit lane and effect some kind of repair.
But now, let's catch up on matters BMW. Sheldon van der Linde is with Gemma in the pit lane.
Sheldon, things seem to be running very smoothly as we speak at the moment.
Yeah.
It's been a relatively trouble-free race, and the gap between yourself and the second and first seems to be fairly consistent.
No, absolutely. I mean, we're super happy with how the cars performing this weekend. I have to say, we really didn't expect it coming into the weekend. Monza was very hard for us personally. We had a lot of punctures, and I think everyone did in that race. But just to be competitive here again, being in the top 5 feels really good again. And it shows that the car is still capable of doing good results, regardless of how old it may be. So yeah, I think the goal now is just to stay out of trouble and really save it for the last 2 hours. That's when we really put the gas on.
Okay, thank you very much, and let's hope it stays as things are.
Cheers, thank you.
Yeah, of course, you've got this inter-Nissan battle between the van der Linde brothers. Sheldon's car is 3rd, Kelvin's is 7th. As over the timing line goes Junqueira, who's just lost out, hasn't he? Kelvin van der Linde has crept up and passed him into the top 6. So rather than going forward, Junqueira has just lost 1 spot to the charging South African.
Yeah, he's been doing that. He's been on that charge, I should say, for a number of laps. It was running down Junqueira. So he's taken away that top 6 position from what would have been the leading, and still is the leading Mercedes-Benz. So this has turned out so far not to be a race where Mercedes is going to be, let's say, on the podium.
Yeah, I mean, 88 to make the point again, the best place. He's just lost another spot. That's Nicholas Nielsen through in 51, look, in the Ferrari. But this is a car that lost ground early on with a puncture, and although it's been in the leading queue, it's just not been able to pick up places. And now Junqueira is losing places.
2 places effectively in a lap. Yeah. Oh, what's going on here?
That's number 2 again.
Well, they got away with that one a bit. I mean, absolutely. I mean, what do you call that skill where drivers slide their car?
Or drifting.
Drifting. That would be a high score drift in my book.
It would. Not sure about the rejoin. And we're going to go full course yellow. It's happened at last. Full course yellow in 10 seconds. You see the boards, and we are going full course yellow here at Paul Ricard. Now, is that because it's a car that has now stopped? We've gone full course yellow, and the car is slow on track, is the message on the screens for car 2. But as I say, had that just been a slide and he caught it, he would have powered away. The fact that the car is slow, again, suggests, as there is 22 into the pit lane, that it's more than just a driver getting it wrong. You know where I'm heading with this sentence about why the car got sideways. Now, this throws pit lane strategy up the wall.
Absolutely, and look at the pit lane has suddenly come alive. So throw your cup of coffee down, throw those Snicker bars or whatever it is you're munching on to keep your energy levels up. There is a recovery vehicle, and can we quite see which car it is? Doesn't look yellow to me. Oh, it is indeed. It's just that we couldn't quite see it. Yeah. Smoke pouring out of the left-hand side. I wonder, was that liquid that got onto the left here? When I said a drift, a perfect drift, maybe it was something that oil or water or some kind of liquid got onto the left side, and that was the reason. It was all that steam coming from the left side of the car certainly would indicate there as a fluid, a leak of some description.
So with just over 2 hours to go, our first interruption to proceedings with this full course yellow. And if it's a car to be recovered, as there's 22 back into the race, I would offer you that this is going to go to a safety car.
Matt Campbell behind the wheel.
Yeah, Matt Campbell in 22. Now there are more cars with strife, including the number 10 BMW. Oh dear, and if you're stuck, well, actually it's full course yellow, it matters little at the moment, but if you're stuck behind that, it's a very slow lap round to the pit lane. Away goes 63, 71 has come in as well, the Callum Ilott Ferrari at the end of lap 122.
So who is behind the wheel? Is it still Mirko Bortolotti or? No, it's not. It's Andrea. So he's had this chamois and a massage.
That's interesting. That's interesting. They've bypassed Mapelli.
Mapelli, well,
yeah, for the moment.
Yes, for the minute. So will Mapelli do the final hour?
Safety car. Safety car procedure. Safety car procedure.
Right, so yes, it is a very brief safety car period to get things back underway. So the race control team trying to keep the race flowing as best they can. Right, the race order. Caldarelli leads. Van der Linde BMW back up into second place then. So the Porsche that came in a lap ahead has actually lost a place.
So Andrea Caldarelli, he's going to nail it when he comes out of that final turn and might slow it down a little bit. Or has he decided to go already? I can't believe he would have done so early in the lap.
So Wittmann has got, what, 2 cars? Sorry, not Wittmann.
Green flag.
Van der Linde has got 2 cars between himself. And have a look who is directly behind the race leader as they come over the timing line, because there is the number 30 Audi. So that is therefore the first of the cars that's, if you like, off the lead lap. James Pult goes through. So 34 is Sheldon van der Linde, and he is in a big hurry to get through the traffic before Andrea Caldarelli escapes up the road. And while he's doing that, so also Matt Campbell needs to get through the traffic.
Absolutely, and Matt Campbell will be the one that realises that all the good work done by Mathieu Jaminet has been not squandered. Certainly it was lost in the pit lane. There is the Ferrari of Antonio Fuoco. There's the 3rd place Porsche. So the BMW looks to me to be the next in line for Matt Campbell to laser in on and try and reclaim second place.
So right now we've got the leading 12 on the lead lap, and we've got an hour and 50 minutes to go as they hit the Mistral straight once again. So Caldarelli leading by 1.3 seconds. Up towards Senior they go. Sector 1 getting away from certainly Sheldon van der Linde, but Campbell fractionally faster than the BMW. So second place is where the attention is going to be first of all, and to see how long it takes Campbell to try to find a way and succeed in getting up past that BMW so he can be released to chase the race leader.
Well, it ain't going to be a gift, that is assured. Sheldon van der Linde, with what, an hour and 49 minutes of this race, will undoubtedly the pace that he showed, certainly in the practice and qualifying, give Matt Campbell a pretty hard time.
There's Antonio Fuoco there, single-seater race winner in Formula 3, the Euro Series, into GP3 F2 level, and then into GT cars, part of the Ferrari Driver Academy. Right, let's catch up with Mirko Bortolotti then. He's fresh out of the leading car, and he's with Gemma.
Mirko, we've seen you have a very strong stint. The car has been running extremely well throughout the whole of this race and looks to be still strong. Do you think the Porsche is putting on pressure?
The race is going perfectly so far. No complaints. Team is doing a mega job. We had no issues, no problems, so everything's running smooth. Still, I think 2 hours to go, so it's still a long way to go, but definitely everyone's putting pressure. Everybody wants to win the race, and so do we.
And obviously you're settling in very well here in the team this year, having led pretty much every lap that you've driven.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, the result counts, so it doesn't matter how many laps you lead. What counts is the result, so far it's been good from that point of view, but we need to bring it home, and then I will be happy.
Thank you very much, Mirko.
The safety car restart is under investigation because there might have been 1 or 2 people a little bit too keen. You can't overtake until you get to the timing line. 1 or 2 may have contravened that regulation, and Mirko Bortolotti saying everything's going according to plan, but not explaining why he was losing time.
And that's a good move for Caldarelli to get through, but goes way off racetrack in the process. Oh, the BMW and the Porsche, and now the Ferrari almost as one. BMW going very wide to the right to try and break the two that you can see them weaving around BMW, Porsche. Will Matt Campbell make a dive down the inside? No, he's not in a position to do it. But clearly Sheldon van der Linde is getting sufficiently worried that he's having to be a bit more mobile coming down the straight.
Flash of the lights from van der Linde to the traffic to just warn them of his progress, because he needs to clear them as quickly as he can. He's got Campbell breathing right down his neck. And there in 4th place, Antonio Fuoco. Now, what about the pace of Dries van Voor behind? Van Voor, again, because of traffic, not as quick as he needed to be a lap ago, but don't rule out the Audi as they're around the outside of the back markers tries to go van der Linde. It's the number 11 Ferrari. It does get out of the way. Van der Linde commits to the inside line as he hits the Mistral straight. Campbell is right there behind him. Fuoco is almost with him as well. Second, third, fourth.
Yeah, and Van der Linde got compromised on the entry to the straight because of the Ferrari. Now Matt Campbell sees an opportunity. The BMW still got that great straight line performance, which is the salvation. Further back, look, it's going on, movement and traffic. So the Ferrari gets through as well, and into scene the Porsche wobbles as it comes through the exit of the corner. Tension, look at the Ferrari now, almost under the rear wing of Matt Campbell's Porsche.
Take those seconds lost in the pits away, that car will be in the lead, so there'll be a certain amount of disquiet over at GPX. Now, Christopher Mies is down in 17th place, and yet, John, he's just done the absolute best first sector of anybody in the race on his 135th lap, or the car's 135th lap.
He is a little star, I must say. He is the professionals racing driver. Stunning performance. To do that at this phase, just under an hour and a half of the race remaining there, second, third, fourth, come across the line. That moment of tension when they were lapping one of the backmarker Ferraris has passed, so the gaps are now more or less back to the times that we saw earlier in this is the penultimate stint, not the final stint.
So 22 is running third, the Matt Campbell Porsche. Earl Bamber did the first stint, and he's in the pits with Gemma right now.
Oh, the Porsche's been running incredibly well. You had a bit of a moment on the pit stop. What happened?
Yeah, I mean, everything was looking good for us, but unfortunately the Audi behind us was in the box, so we had to go long and the guys had to push back. So we lost roughly about 8 seconds, according to the guys in the commentary box. So yeah, we lost one spot to BMW, and we're sort of stuck behind there at the moment. We've got better pace, and I think we've got something to challenge the Lambo if we can clear them, but they're quite quick on the straight line, so we just can't get through. We're hoping we can make something with the traffic and we'll be in the game.
Did you mention to me a little bit before we started the interview that you think you might still have a joker to play?
I think we might still have a joker stop. I'd have to check with the guys. I mean, maybe the guys in commentary box probably know better than me, but I think we do. So, yeah, there could be a little bit to play out still. And there's also this rain in the air that I feel. I've heard there might be rain in the last 40 minutes. So.
Oh, really?
So I got told.
So this could really get interesting in the last closing stint.
I think it is. You know, it's all to play for everybody. There's still one more stop as well. So, you know, as we saw in the championship last year, everything can change in the last hour. So we're going to keep our fingers crossed. We had quite the weekend, but the GPX guys have done a great job. You know, if we can pull a podium off after our first race weekend in Monza, scoring no points, it'll be a great start to our championship.
Well, thank you very much. Let's see if all of your predictions come true.
Thank you.
So 22 does have a joker pit stop. The joker pit stop allows you to be 1 second under the regulation time, which is that 41 seconds of coupling. So you are allowed a joker pit stop. So there's that, which might bring them back. But the real interest that Earl offered up there, partly the explanation of the time loss being boxed in, but rain in the air. Didn't know about that.
Good stuff from Earl Bamber. We didn't have any indication that there would be rain in the air. Of course, teams have got their pit lane radar. They can monitor what the weather patterns are going to be.
Well, right now we're on lap 144 and a personal best first sector by Matt Campbell. He's taken just under 2/10 out of Caldarelli. So this is what Earl Bamber was hoping, that if they could clear the BMW, they might be back at the races. Timo Glock goes through 7th there, with Christian Engelhardt 8th behind him. Fred Verviche 9th. Tell you what, that safety car came at the right time, didn't it, to bring that leading line back into a good battle for the remaining stint and a half, 2 stints of the race.
Well, you would say that if you're anybody but Andrea Caldarelli. But that's motor racing. I mean, these are endurance races, and you've expected at some point. I mean, last year, how many safety cars or full course yellows did we have? And that was in the first hour.
A reminder of what's going on in Silver Cup. Thomas Drouet for ACA ASP. Actually, this is, dare one say, in real terms, the best of the Mercedes. It's not the best placed, but it's the one that's had fewer dramas and is actually on target to win something. It's leading the Silver Cup. Second in the Silver Cup, Riccardo Fella at the wheel of the Emil Frey Racing number 14 Lamborghini. He's taken that over from Rolfi Nyken and Alex Fontana. And this is number 19 with a certain amount of brutality. Phil Keane getting into the back of, was that the Simon Riker Audi ahead. Yeah, Phil Keane does not do things like that, so I can only assume that the slower car ahead rather outfoxed him by braking early, because Phil Keane is not an aggressive, dirty driver.
No, he's not. And I mean, again, when you're coming up against cars that are that little bit slower than you're capable of going, then these situations can sometimes arise. Hopefully it'll not be deemed to be worthy of investigation, but because the car was spun around, it will be looked at. So up the hill they come. Look at the Audi. Wow. I mean, those are stunning images. Oh, the tippy toes.
So Engelhardt hustles on in the Dynamic Motorsport Porsche, the Monza winning car. Had a spin early on. And let's have a look at exactly what went on earlier on in the lap. So that is Engelhardt through on the inside of Glock. Committed stuff.
I mean, that was a cheeky little move. There was nothing left in terms of Timo Glock had been a bit hard. He could have squeezed the Porsche, and then, of course, both cars would have been affected. But again, yeah, at some point you have to concede rather than, wow, where's that all about, Matt Campbell?
No, that was Engelhardt.
Oh, was that Engelhardt? Oh,
yeah.
sorry, but when that one, I mean, way, whatever the reason was, still 21 Celsius, so ambient is reasonably good. Wonder what the track temperature, how much it's fallen away.
Albert Costa up into 9th, Raffaele Marciello up into 10th as Timo Glock is fading, and off the road there goes 163. That's Albert Costa, and he's gone ahead of the Porsche. Now surely that was gaining an advantage.
Absolutely. Got to give it back, Al, otherwise you'll be penalised, and he has given it back, yeah.
Good
I
lad.
mean, he felt compromised on the entry, so he did the inside cut, but of course he knew in doing it he'd have to give that slot straight away back.
There's the race leader then, but Matt Campbell should be in this time because he's done now 64 minutes. Yeah, so that car has got to be in this lap. There it is in the traffic. No, that's 54. Forgive me, the wrong Porsche. That's the Engelhardt car. There, flashing through the shot was Campbell.
Yeah.
So in he comes, and therefore that car will now be able to go to the end. He will do a second stint, and depending on how good a stop this is, they could even jump the leader. What might be interesting here is to focus on the pit stop for 22. He's being held up a little bit down the pit lane there by the Aston Martin, but are they going to take on a full set of tyres or only two? And come on, he says to 159, get out of the way!
Because the Aston put the brakes on to turn into his pit box, and almost, I don't know if there was light contact or not, so I thought the race leader came in.
Now that's really early. That's interesting. Caldarelli comes in much earlier than I'd anticipated to give Marco Mappelli maximum time in the car. So the two cars squaring off against each other. Let's just try and stay on that Porsche shot and see that they're going to change all four corners. Yes, they are. So it's a full set of boots for 22. And now it's a race between the mechanics. 63's away.
Yep, and get the car, get it off the jacks. Porsche much further down the pit lane, and what is the hesitation? Cleaning around, making sure the air intakes at the front of the Porsche are clear. We're still waiting for the Lamborghini to make its way down. It should be coming to the pit. There it is. So Porsche still up on the jacks, and the Lambos. Here we go. Now we roll. The Porsche doesn't have to go very far before it can get on to full throttle, whereas the Lambo was the first garage in the pit lane. So the gap probably between lead and second place car. Pit time for the Lamborghini 1 minute 24.6. Wonder what it was for the Porsche.
It was
not as quick as 124.
No, again, 25.7. So another second lost. But interestingly, that Lamborghini coming in after a 30-lap stint and 31 laps for the Porsche. So Andrea Caldarelli electing to give the car over to Mappelli.
But Matt Campbell is the incumbent.
Yep.
He's been out for over an hour. He knows the conditions. Mappelli's getting back in, going out on a dark racetrack. When he handed over to Andrea Caldarelli, it was dark, but not at the level we are right now. Mappelli will need that opening lap just to reacquaint himself.
71 Ferrari, Antonio Fuoco over the line. That car, for the moment, leads, but he's got damage. I saw sparks coming from it. Look, he's got a lot of rear-end damage. Now, what has happened there? Has that been from a back marker or the battle with Sheldon van der Linde, who has come into the pit lane? But look at the back of 71. That ain't pretty.
No, and that's going to be a pit stop. Well, not just he's got to come in anyway, but that's more than that's a push it back in the garage. There is the BMW in. No indication around the front of the car. Well, let's have a look and see if we can see any more. I don't know what happened to the Ferrari. the left rear corner has been tagged, whether that was a back marker or whether he was a bonnet on the BMW slightly ajar? It is. The bonnet is slightly ajar. You can see the left side.
Yeah.
So has there been contact?
Slightly proud,
Yeah,
isn't
it is
it?
proud,
Just above
yes,
the door.
it is.
You're right. So it could well be. And look, car ahead of the BMW. That's exactly what you don't need, because they're going to have to drop it down and then do a to and fro job to get it round the 111 McLaren.
Move your... So they're gonna, I'm not sure they're going to put the BMW back in the garage.
It's a long stop, isn't it? It's been in for a minute, 19, 20, 21 seconds.
They're clearing the garage. I think they might have to push it back in. So whatever the problem with the bonnet is, they can't fix it in the pit lane.
Let's try and piece this together. This is on board with Fuoco, and he gets up the inside and he goes through, and maybe as he came across the front there was the contact.
Yeah, the damage to the Ferrari is having less effect than the damage to the BM. The BM's had a long pit stop.
Fuoco is in, and they haven't yet attacked the rear bodywork. Go on, you're strong, you do it. Pull, pull.
No. Get some snips, sneers.
Don't tape it up.
They're going to get a bit of gaffer tape on it. Bit of gorilla tape.
Good luck with that.
But look at that. I mean, it's hanging off the back of the car. They're going to send it.
Well,
cut and shut. Literally.
If that tape hangs on to the end of the race,
I'll buy
minutes,
some. I'll buy some.
Well, it's mega stuff. If it is, I'll be with you. I'll be next in the queue. Well, the gap is 1.39 seconds now between the top two. Campbell is creeping up the order, and Raffaele Marciello has just gone back up into 7th place as well. So 88 Mercedes is benefiting a little bit by other people having dramas late race. And the two that have really lost out, one on pace and one on a slow pit stop, are the two Valkenhorst BMWs, because having been up at the pointy end all day, they're now only 12th and 13th.
That's a big drop off.
Yeah.
So in the pits comes the 58.
Yeah, 56 Porsche, Mikkel Pedersen. And Hiroshi Hamaguchi is still leading here in the Pro-Am contest. Behind him is Alessandro Pierguidi. That's the 5th place car, with the lights flashing to say to Hiroshi-san, out of the way, please. I'm quicker, I'm on the lead lap, you're not, so let me by. Sheldon van der Linde back up into 11th as he pounds on in the BMW. 47 minutes to go at Paul Ricard. The teams look on. That is the GPX Porsche squad. In theory, all the mechanics have done their bit now. There shouldn't be another pit stop.
So the gap between these two cars coming up on lap 170. Up in, Matt Campbell has a little look, sticks the nose up, puts the headlights into the mirrors or the camera, whatever it is.
0.263 of a second then as they came over the line. That's 159 laps done. And so now it is Mappelli in the lead, but under massive pressure. He has got to be a sponge for 42 minutes and try and soak up all of that pressure, but it is easier said than done. And so again, Matt Campbell needs a good solid run round this section to have a go onto the Mistral. Can he do it? He's almost there. He's under the rear wing, which is going to be the quicker car. You've got the grunt of the Porsche, you've got the aero-friendly Lamborghini onto the Mistral straight. Now look, Campbell up the curb. Can he do it this time?
He's well placed. It's just a question of he needs to get alongside before they get into the braking zone, before they start to commit to go into the scene. He goes one side now, he's got the momentum. What is Mappelli doing? Look at that. The pair of themselves, Mappelli's backed out of it. He literally, I think, lifted off the throttle and allowed the Porsche to get through. So, wow, the pressure from Matt Campbell has worked. Marco Mappelli is the first to blink. There is the reaction. Wow, what a well, nip and tuck coming down the straight. But that all bit of, runs wide. Lets the Lamborghini get up alongside. Two cars collide. And damage, will that be damage to the Porsche? Matt Campbell was that momentary loss of concentration. Oh, my heart's in my mouth at the minute.
Yeah, but what damage has that done? Because there was certainly contact between the two. Has that done for a tyre on the Porsche? Maybe. It was a discernible rub, and Campbell, having worked so hard to get the lead, wide into Beausset, ran out wide, and contact between the Lamborghini and the Porsche. So, over the line go the race leaders. It's 0.3 of a second, and Mappelli is back in front. Campbell has got to do it all over again, but look, Fuoco is right with them. 0.7 covers the top three.
Exactly. Couldn't get it out quick enough. So it was a three-way battle for the lead of this race. The Porsche all over the rear of the Lamborghini, the Ferrari just enjoying watching what's going on ahead. Having seen what happened down at Le Poussey, he thinks, I don't need to attack. These two are going to take each other off. So once again, look how close the Porsche can get to the back of the Lamborghini. He needs to be careful here, because this is the beginning of going onto the straight. Does not need to let the Lamborghini pull any advantage, because he got past once. Mappelli is not going to offer it up as easily any more times with, 39 minutes remaining?
And Campbell can't afford to sit there either, because Fuoco is closing and closing fast. Right, Campbell did it here a lap ago. Has he got the speed this time around? Seemingly, he got away with that contact without any damage. He pulls up to the outside line. He's running out of straight, but he's done it again. He's gone round the outside. Can he get the line for the corner? Yes, yes, yes. Campbell is back into the lead. Now, Matt, don't go deep into Beausset this time. Can't afford another error. Second is Mappelli, who now becomes the cushion to keep at bay Fuoco and let the Porsche escape up the road. And this time he's got the line just about right. Yes! Campbell comes out of Beausset in the lead.
Oh, I know, but you said he got the line right. He was still a little bit, to me, too far right to the left. The car gave a little bobble, but this time he didn't lose the advantage he had. He worked hard to get ahead of the Lamborghini. He did it consecutively on 2 laps. Mappelli did everything fairly and cleanly. It was a race between 2 professional drivers, but now you've got the danger for Mappelli. The Ferrari, which is capable of running at the pace of these 2 lead cars, if he gets a sense of an opportunity to pass, will Mappelli be able to hold on to second place?
Incident between cars 63 and 22 in turn 11 under investigation.
So there, the race lead move at turn 11 being looked at. So when the Lamborghini got back ahead with that little brush coming out of Beausset a couple of laps back, the incident that put 63 back into the lead, it's being looked at by race control. Why don't we have another look at all of this? So Campbell got the race lead, came out of senior, and then too deep into Beausset, John.
Yeah, he ran way up around the perimeter of the corner. The Lamborghini did the right thing, dived down the inside. Of course, now they're prepared to concede. So the Lamborghini had the corner. Porsche was trying to swoop around the outside. Look how far off track they were. So, I mean, in my view, that's okay. Look at it and just say no action needed. So there is 4th place Dries van Thor. End of lap 165, go on to 166.
So again, you get this similar situation that Van Thor and Fuoco and others have. Do you attack or do you defend now? Over the line, Van Thor is 4/10 up on Pierre Guidi. And behind is Raffaele Marciello, 6th. Now, that's a car that all of a sudden has come back to life almost and has crept back up the order, helped maybe by this bottleneck ahead. Marciello, I don't think he's going to catch them, but 6th is a lot better than it was looking about half an hour ago.
I mean, at any point during the race, I wouldn't have thought we were going to see that 88 Mercedes in the top 6. Consider he's 25 seconds behind Pierre Guidi in 5th place. As we run Raffaele Marciello, this is one of the Silver Pro-Am Ferraris, being circumspect, because the Ferrari's got good, straight line performance, and it's only under brakes coming down into the first of the S's, or almost, they might call it a chicane. Matt Campbell clears up another back marker.
Yeah, that's Riccardo Fella. Gets past.
Is it? That was a Porsche.
So through goes Campbell and Riccardo Fella, who is 13th, second in the Silver Cup, dispensed with, 28 minutes and counting. So Campbell 2 seconds clear of Mappelli. Not heard anything else from race control yet about the investigation of Campbell and Mappelli's clash.
Just watched Mappelli coming through, seen looked to me the car's attitude in the corner, that it was sliding, and especially at the rear, sliding more than certainly you're seeing in the Porsche or the Ferrari. So, like to see another shot of that next time round. Was that just a one-off, or is that a trend that's setting in?
Incident between car 22 and 63. No further inquiry necessary.
Well, that was I think probably a reasonable punt that there was nothing going to happen, but it has to be looked at and assessed, and then a judgment laid.
5 seconds time penalty to car 19 for causing a collision. 5 second time penalty to car 19 causing a collision. 5 seconds, that will be added at the final time.
That's Phil Keane for that little incident we saw.
It is. Now, is he far enough ahead at the moment? Yes, I think he is. So here, challenge made, and through goes Fuoco. Up the inside, gets ahead of Apelli into senior. That is the change for second place. And having lost one spot, and there you see the bodywork flail on the Ferrari. Can Vanthor make a move against Mapelli? He's going to try. Doesn't quite make it stick, but now Mapelli is under massive attack.
Yeah, and I think that Mapelli is losing rear end grip, because Fuoco was able to make that pass relatively untroubled. The only problem the Ferrari has got is it's dragging part of the rear bodywork, and that is almost at the level it was when it came into the pits. So whether that'll be deemed to be a danger, will it require a quick fix in the pit lane? 23 minutes of the race remaining. What you don't need is a substantial chunk of bodywork departing from the rear of a car at high speed.
There's the leading car then. So the GPX Racing Porsche, it's the team that won at Spa 2 years ago. It's a team that looks on target now to win this 6-hour race at Paul Ricard. The team owned by Fred Fatien, racer himself. There's 63, Marco Mapelli down in third. And this rather elasticated situation against Antonio Fuoco. One lap the Lamborghini is closer, the next it falls back.
Second, third, fourth, I mean, there's a bit of a seesaw between these four cars. Alessandro Pierguidi arguably might be the quickest of all four, but finds himself in a tricky situation wherein Dries van Thor is capable of defending and carrying pretty massive speed at the same time.
Last pit stop of car 71 under investigation. Last pit stop of car 71 under investigation.
Now, with 7 minutes to go, the last pit stop of car 71 under investigation. The pit stop lasted 1 minute 25.1 seconds. It's not a time issue, so it must be numbers of personnel working on the car.
I have a horrible feeling that as the pit stop was being carried out, there was another worker, another team member stretching tape.
Yeah.
Now whether the other, the tar and refuelers were complete or not, I don't know, but whatever it was, it's certainly going to be investigated.
Well, race control is doing just that. They'll have the evidence. And here is the pit stop.
There's the back of the car. You see that there he is. Well,
there you've got two mechanics, look, on the back, plus the refueler.
Yep.
And then, look, one mechanic, another mechanic there with the tape.
And the refueling hose is still in place.
Yeah, but they're clear. Right, Philip Ellis, 57 Mercedes, has cleared Hiroshi Hamaguchi. So that means now it's a straight fight between Hamaguchi and Chiba. The gap is 3.8 seconds. So even if Hamaguchi stays ahead, he's going to lose the class win because of the 5-second time penalty for that contact.
And also Eddie Chiba, you can see he's taking a second here, a half a second there, out of the advantage that Hamaguchi has built up. So Chiba running down literally the Lamborghini in the closing 2 minutes. And that's just up ahead as they come on to Mistral Straight for what will be the penultimate time.
So 9, 8, 7, 6, one more lap to go, and it's going to be started any second now as over the line goes the number 22 Porsche. 4 seconds to spare.
I mean, if it had a 5-second lead, you're going to drop 4 seconds and still won the race.
Yeah. So of course what that does is give people behind him an extra lap to either attack or defend.
Final lap.
Confirmation from race control. The race director Alain Adon says it's the final lap. The clock doesn't lie. 56 Porsche goes through. That was delayed early on, but it's still going in 12th place. Romain Dumas out of the win. You just saw it go through the shot.
Didn't see an awful lot of that car at all. No. A number of cars we're not really seeing much. And I was wanting to see Duncan Cameron and, of course, Matt Griffin, a good Irishman who's made a fantastic career for himself as a Ferrari centrally contracted driver.
Well, sadly, Matt never got in the car, did he? Yeah, 141 laps ago that car retired. So that was Duncan Cameron's accident that did for them real shame. So, GPX Racing on target for a win. Half a lap to go. Matt Campbell, Mathieu Jaminet, Earl Bamber, mega effort all the way through. Brilliant drive, and they're on target for a win.
Superb effort indeed by the entire GPX team. And even though we say that, look at the traffic up ahead of the lead car. Very busy part of the racetrack.
And is that a change? Because he's
got
Van Thor ahead of Mappelli for third place.
On the last lap.
He's done it. Dries Van Thor has gone through. The Audi goes by. So Dries Van Thor up to third place. Now is Mappelli going to be able to fend off Alessandro Pierguidi? 3 corners to go. Through the traffic they come. There is the Porsche. Matt Campbell, Earl Bamber, Mathieu Jaminet on target then to win round 2 of the Fanatec GT World Challenge Europe powered by AWS Endurance Cup. Porsche wins in France. Checkered flag waves. Campbell, Bamber, Jaminet victorious. What a drive.
Excellent job by GPX. 3-star drivers in the Porsche lineup, and they have won. And it was no easy victory. That took a long, long time to get on terms with the 63 Lamborghini, but once they got a sniff of the lead, and that involved getting together, coming out of Le Bousset, contact that was investigated, but no further action taken. So a very, very sweet victory indeed for the Porsche marque.
Assuming there's no penalty in the system for 71, Fuoco Islet Rigon second, and Dries Van Thor third on the last lap. So you have to feel a bit for the 63 Lamborghini, having led for so long, but only getting fourth.
I don't know quite how it all happened. We just caught it in the exit from Le Bousset. So what happened? Why did Marco Mappello? Did he get compromised or whatever? So Edward Cheever and looking to catch up and find a way around.
Look at this, nose to tail.
Yeah.
He's going to win it on corrected time. He might win it on the road as well with the drag to the flag now. Can Hamaguchi at least hang on to win on the road? The flag is there. Cheever's almost alongside him. Who is going to be ahead as they break the beam? In a sense, it's immaterial because of the penalty anyway for the Lamborghini. As they took the flag, Hamaguchi was ahead by a 10th, but then he had the penalty, and it's a win for the Sky Tempesta racing team.
There is joy from the GPX Porsche team, from Mathieu Jaminet, from Earl Bamber, Matt Campbell. Outstanding effort by the Australian. Brought the car home in the winners. There you go, look at that. Happy days indeed.
Well, a great job done by everybody involved. And in the end, we had the leading 11 cars on the lead lap. And it was 6.5 seconds that covered the top 5.
And look at that. Kelvin van der Linde and Charles Mertz absolutely hammering the roof, and Dries Van Thor's Audi to bring it up to third place in that final lap.
So let's try and join this party. You've got very happy Audi drivers, very happy Porsche drivers too. Matt Campbell and his colleagues are with Gemma.
Boys, absolutely fantastic. You drove your socks off, and that was fantastic. We'll come to you first, Matt.
Yeah, wow. I mean, look, to be honest, going into the race, we certainly didn't expect that. We had a bit of a troubled lead up to the race, but yeah, look, all the boys did a fantastic job, flawless job in the pit stop by all the GPX crew, and you know, it wasn't easy. Had a contact there in the last stint, but we got it done, and yeah, so thrilled for GPX. We didn't have the greatest of Monza events, and to fight back like this is fantastic at our first points.
Congratulations. Earl, you said to me not long ago that we've got something, and you were absolutely right.
Yeah, I mean, Matt touched on it. We had such a troubled lead up, and we said if we could finish in the top 5, we'd take it as a win. But I mean, to come away for a win, I mean, we didn't expect that starting the day. GPX guys were on point. They tuned up the car after quali, and I mean, we had a rocket ship in the race. And full credit to them, full credit to these two boys. Awesome day.
Absolutely. Mathieu, a quick word from you as well, please.
Yeah, I think it was really definitely a hell of a drive from all three of us. I'm really thankful to be today with these guys because we really work our ass off today out there, and I'm really thankful also for the team in Porsche. It was not an early start to the year for us, so I'm really thankful for the team and happy for everybody.
Great work, well done. Fantastic.
Fantastic drive, fantastic race. Right, just to clarify, a 10-second penalty to the number 71 Ferrari for a pit stop infringement. So that drops 71 to 5th. It puts the 63 Lamborghini back into the top 3. And a 10-second time penalty. It's been, now that penalty's been applied, let's see what the results are, because it means that 22 Porsche from GPX Racing wins, courtesy of Matt Campbell, Earl Bamber and Mathieu Jaminet. From second, Dries Van Thor, Kelvin van der Linde and Charles Witt. Back up to third, come Mirko Bortolotti, Marco Mappelli, Andrea Caldarelli. Up to fourth, Alessandro Pierguidi, Nicholas Nielsen and Coem Ledegaard. And down to fifth, drop, Antonio Fuoco, Callum Eilert and Davide Rigon. Sixth, somehow, Raffaele Marciello, Daniel Juncadella and Jules Gounon after a troubled day. That in the end is the best place to the Mercedes, but it's a Mercedes that wins in Silver Cup as well. We started with 47, 34 classified as being finishers at the end of certainly a gruelling 6 hours around Paul Ricard. The McLaren of Rob Bell, Ollie Wilkinson, Ben Barnicoat, you see, taking 16th. And in Pro-Am, Chris Froggatt, Jonathan Quee and Eddie Cheever ahead on the corrected times by 4.8 seconds, because that 5-second time penalty did for the Lamborghini in the end. Go down to the last finisher, Ollie Milroy, Brendan Arib, Nick Moss, and they had their dramas, but we lost the Allied Racing Porsche. We lost 2 of the Emil Frey Lamborghinis. The Engel Stolz Abril Mercedes, gone. The Mercedes of Bourne, Mettler and Love, gone. The Mercedes of Bastian, Grutz and Scholzer, gone. The Mercedes of Tunjo, Petit, Dienst, gone. The Barwell Lamborghini, gone, and others. And spare a thought for Rinaldi's Ferrari. All the effort to get the car through practice, through qualifying, into the race, and it didn't even get to do a lap, retiring on the opening lap of the race. So for GPX Racing then, the winning team, Paul Ricard, and then the celebrations can begin for Matt Campbell, for Earl Bamber and Mathieu Jaminet. A great effort in the Porsche. So they're the drivers on the podium here at Paul Ricard. That's the Silver Cup podium, and the winners Tomasz Druick, Konstantin Terashenko and Simon Gachet celebrate for ACA ASP. And there Chris Froggatt towers over his co-drivers as the Sky Tempesta Racing Ferrari team take the Pro-Am honours here at Paul Ricard.